All right. So this is probably, actually, this isn't probably. This is going to be the last top five for starters in terms of the Pokemon top five series I'm doing. Also, a little FYI, I will do top fives on other things besides Pokemon. It's just this was something that I thought of literally when I started the channel. I was like, this is something that I can start Pokemon related stuff with, and not have to worry too much about like, gotta come up with a whole new thing every single time. At least like until my setup and everything, and I'm able to do more things like playthroughs and stuff like that. I can like add that in. It's a good way to stall, but still do like Pokemon content. Not saying these videos are literally just filler and just stalling. Like I wanted these to be out there so you guys get an impression for that. If you like watch Pokemon content, you'll be like, I wonder what his favorite starter is. Well, now you'll know. You know, my favorite grass type, my favorite fire type, my favorite electric, ghost, yada yada, etc. This one might be the quickest. I hope it's the quickest. It should be the quickest because you guys already saw me cover all of these. If you want me to go into greater detail, those are on their respective starter type lists where I go into detail about like there's like I go into more detail. This one, I'm gonna be honest, is really just me giving the rankings and saying why they're in the top five of all the starters. Because now I think we're at like, I mean, this isn't hard. Just three times whatever generation it is, which right now is Gen 8. So that means we have 24 starters. Unless you want to count Pikachu, in which case it's 25, but I'm not counting Pikachu. But yeah, so we're just going to jump right into it. Like I said, I'm going to go over why they're that important to me. And one second. I'm just going to blow my nose real quick. All right. Why they're that important to me, and that's basically it. So, number five, we're just gonna jump right into it. Is also you might get an idea as to who's left on the list once I go through them. If you saw the other ones, so number five is Infernape. I don't know how many of you guys expected, like what you were expecting, like which typing I was gonna start with, but we're gonna do Infernape. Infernape, it's real. I'm gonna say this right now. Infernape was the toughest one to put down as number five. I went into this and I was thinking, am I really gonna put him number five? And yeah, I'm gonna put him number five just because the reason why it's so tough for me, Infernape is my first starter. It was my first starter. Chimchar was my first starter when I played my first Pokemon game, which was Platinum. And I remember I got it on my birthday. No, I didn't get it on my birthday. I got it on the Christmas before. If you don't know, my birthday is, I think, like 2 weeks after Christmas. So, yeah, I was turning 10 years old. And I know that seems like very late to play a Pokemon game, but I don't know. I wasn't. It's not like I wasn't a gamer. It's just I kind of. I don't know. I just was really into shows and stuff, so I didn't mind too much. I didn't game as much, but then eventually I got so curious. I was like, I want to play a Pokemon game, and yeah. So it took me a little while to get into it, but or like to get a hold of it. But yeah, I saw like the perfect timing, and I was like, I want to get Pokemon Platinum because you know that was the generation that was out at the time. So I knew exactly what I was picking. I was a huge anime watcher, and Infernape was just great to me. Um, Funny story with Infernape, I never really built a team during my first run. It was just I wanted Electivire. I didn't know I had to trade him, so I ended up playing with Chimchar, just Chimchar, and then got into Infernape until I got to where you get Electabuzz, which is right before the eighth gym, but it isn't unlocked until you beat spoiler alert until you beat Cyrus and everything and get Garantina and all that stuff. But I still only had Infernape, which he was like level 70, I think, at that point. So yeah, still just rocking Infernape. I got through all the gyms and was able to still progress. I even got through Wake somehow. I don't remember how I got through Crasher Wake, even though he's a water type gym leader. But yeah, I went through all of Platinum with Infernape until I saw Electabuzz. I was like, perfect, Electabuzz. I'll get Electabuzz, and I'll level him up until I get Electivire, and then I'll have my two favorites. That never happened, and I was with the Elite Four probably for a few days because I was like, I was pretty confident because the first, I think, what's his name? It starts with an A. Is it like Aiden? I can't remember, but is a bug type gym leader. So Infernape just smashed through that, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be easy. I'm gonna be the champion in no time." And then the next one is, I think it's Bertha, who is a ground type gym leader. I had an Electabuzz and an Infernape, so you know how that went. I'd usually take out like the first one, but once I got to like, I remember once I get to like Hippowdon, I would be done. Or if I got lucky, if I got to Gliscor, then I'd be done. But yeah, so that just goes to show I was like, with stuff like that, I cannot. Well, I just didn't think I was gonna put him that low, but I was like, I knew he was gonna be. I knew he was gonna be in the top five. I just don't know I was gonna put him that low. But sometimes things change, and I was like, yeah, I feel like this makes sense, like putting him here. Number four though is Greninja. Now Greninja is fairly recent. I just feel like the martial art thing with Infernape is cool and the punching and everything, but Greninja, I think it's because of Protean and it's because he's like fast enough where he outspeeds so many things. And I think I have like a weird obsession with fast Pokemon. At the time, I never had a starter that was that fast. So I think for me, it was just kind of addicting. Like that, like Greninja, I feel like is a starter that I genuinely could have like soloed a game with. Not because just X and Y was easy, but also because Protean and sorry if you can hear the highway, but if like with Protean and his speed and his special attack, I could just go through everything. So Greninja just ended up being like a logical choice to put him above Infernape because that feeling of having a fast starter that can just always hit hard, I really couldn't get over that. Now, with those two being said, it's like, well, then what's the top three? The top three is a little bit like here or there. Like, you could argue, like, I don't see how this one's on top, but number three is Rillaboom. Now, I'm going to explain. Rillaboom is the most recent and kind of is like, can make some people be like, okay, if you have that much of an emotional attachment to Infernape and Greninja was able to, like, be so good that you were able to like it, Rillaboom is great, but he's not that great. I understand, but I feel like you, for me, and I've said this before, if I look at a design, I just think like this was something that just, even if you just put him in like a group of all the Pokemon, it would catch my attention. It surpasses the emotional attachment I have to said Pokemon or said like design or whatever. So for me, Rillaboom, looking at the design again, still trying to get used to the drum, but like like the Pokemon itself, it just looks amazing. It looks amazing, and the same thing I said about speed. His physical attack is like that. But I mean, physical attack. It wasn't rare to see a starter with high physical attack. I mean, Torterra has high physical attack, so that wasn't the biggest surprise. But like then he has priority. He's got a priority grass type move. He's got some moves that I feel like are just built in that like knock off and stuff like that where they just seem so important for a Pokemon, let alone a starter. So I feel like Rillaboom is where it starts to become like it surpasses just, oh, he's a starter that I'm attached to, and it's like it's just a really solid and good Pokemon, both design, execution on the stats and moveset and everything. So I was like, I'm just gonna put him above because I just think in terms of Pokemon, I like him more than the other two. Same thing can kind of be said about Samurott, who is number two. Um, the thing with this one though is that I can't really talk about stats as much, although he does have the priority and all that stuff. But he doesn't have much that like other water starters don't have, especially Greninja. However, I think I made it very clear during the water starter list. Samurott to me is just so sick. From the fact he takes swords out of his arms, from the fact he's got this samurai aesthetic that works oddly well. And I remember seeing when the starters came out, and I saw Samurai. I remember in the TCG too, they had like this 3D like look for like the starter decks they were gonna show for like the different star. I looked at Samurai. I remember as a kid, I saw that commercial and I rewinded it. I kept looking at it. I was like, he looks so sick. He's behind like a waterfall or something. Sorry, he's in front of a waterfall and like some ravine. It looks sick. And I'm like, this starter is amazing. Now, granted, when you play through a game with him, it's just kind of you realize his limitations, but then also like there's ways to work around, and that's the best part about Pokemon is that the Pokemon doesn't necessarily have to be good. You can like a Pokemon, and it doesn't have to be amazingly good at like I don't know, like its special attack or speed or defense or all that stuff. You don't have to worry about that stuff as much because really, if you invest enough time and just think up a strategy or something, or trying to look at some moves, or get even lucky. There's luck in this game. You got status infliction. You got, confusion. You got like accuracy. There's so many ways with which you can like make a Pokemon beat another one that's just so much better than it competitively speaking. But if they're at the same level, you can get lucky and get a great moment with that. And I feel like with Samurott, literally almost every single time I play through any of the black and white, and that's the thing, I play black and white, and I play black and white too so many times. I just have so much of the time with Samurott, but then also like appreciating it as a Pokemon. So it's like Rillaboom, but with like the added experience of like Infernape. You know what I mean? Like I just played through with Samurai at a young age too. Like I was like 11 or something, or 12, and I just played through Samurai, like play through like Black and White with Samurai so often that I was like, this is just attached to me. And the Hisuian form, I'm gonna take forms into account at this point, but the Hisuian form is pretty damn awesome. So yeah. And speaking of forms and all that other stuff, number one, if you're paying attention, you know the last two were the number ones of the previous lists, and there's one number one missing. Number one is Charizard. That's kind of where like things get really like cliche and like general, and it's like okay, it's kind of typical that you would have okay another's top five starter list with Charizard as number one. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like if he's my number one, he's my number one. He's a dragon. Fire is probably my favorite, one of my favorite typings. I like water. Grass is hit or miss for me. Um, Stat wise, he's not amazing, but again, he's also Charizard, so he gets way. I'll be the first to admit it. He gets way too much favoritism. You know, Mega Charizard X looks cool. I tried Mega Charizard Y when Megas first came out. I got attached to it. Drought is so perfect for Charizard. It's ridiculous. There's just so much with this thing and the anime, and it's just I'm like yeah, it's shiny too. Like he's I think next to Greninja, he's the one with the coolest shiny on this list. I like Rillaboom Samurats. They're okay. They're not bad. Rillaboom is actually cool. Samurats is it's alright. But yeah, I mean Charizard is basically one of the mascots of this whole thing. So in terms of the time aspect, I just had a lot of time attachment. Sure. Um, I don't actually play through a game with Charizard very often, but he's still my favorite nonetheless. While I don't have a huge, as much of an emotional attachment as I do with, like, say, Samurott or Infernape, this guy just slaughters on everything else. So I'm like, I gotta make him number one. So that's the list. I know, like, what am I kind of like, all right, next, but like I said, there's not really a way to introduce these guys because you know what I think about them, and you at some point when watching this, you're gonna expect what's next, you know, and you're gonna be like, well, the water starters are done, so next should be this, and then the, grass starters are done, next should be the next one. You know what I mean? So yeah. Um, Let me know down below what you've thought about the starters, what your favorite starters are, or favorite starter is down below now that we're done with the top five starters. Let me know what you thought about the list. I don't think many people would have too many issues with it. I know Samurott and Rillaboom are kind of like up in the air, But I mean, having Charizard as number one, I don't think really most people, like, if anyone's gonna make an argument and be like, okay, that's like expected, but I don't really think that's much of anything new to complain about. So I think this list should be it should be received fairly decently, unlike some of the other lists I put out. Yeah, I've had some wild cards before. I think the only big wild card here is Samurott at number two. I know some people don't really like him that much. Like, they like him, they think he's cool, but it's like it's not that sick. You know, he's just kind of like a cool design and idea that didn't really pay off too much. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, unless make sure to light up that like button, smash that sub button, give that bell your best. You know how that goes. Next time's next vid. I'll see you guys later. Take care, peace, and goodbye.